I woke up, I was naked, and I was in a bathtub full of ice. And you could smell copper in the air. It was like a heavy smell. And I look up and I see there's a scar starting from up here. It looked like I was cut up and botched up from like the middle of my chest all the way down, and I couldn't see it. It was the most excruciating pain.
Imagine this. You go out for a night of drinks, expecting to have fun, but instead you end up drugged and used for an organ harvesting operation. This is exactly what happened to my guest today. This episode is brought to you by Vogue Rugs. I'm Cassi Moon, and this is something scary to talk about. Let's welcome my guest, Ramon Anciles. Hi, Ramon. Thanks for joining us today. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for having me, Cassi.
Of course. I know you had a very intense situation happen to you. Can you tell us more about where you're from?
Well, actually, I'm from Houston, Texas.
Okay. And what happened? Did it happen here in Houston?
Actually, it happened outside of Houston. I was actually in California when this happened. Bakersfield, California, outside of LA. And I was working sales, cellular. And I remember it was the end of the month. It was like the 31st of July. And I just closed a big deal. I had an awesome month. So at the time, since I was a little younger, I like to spend my money, So I decided, there was this club that they kept talking about, my coworkers. It was like this lounge. It was called the Velvet Lounge. It was brand new out in Bakersfield. It's kind of like this retro style, bar lounge. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go there. But this time I decided I was going to go by myself. For some reason that night I decided not to let anybody know I was going out. They were asking me, hey, you going to go out? I might do a little something, but for some reason...
night for yourself?
Yeah, I just wanted I guess treat myself. I had not really done that. And I pull up. When you pull up, it's like, I don't know, of course you've never seen it, but you pull up and then you see in like these big neon lights, the Velvet Lounge, it was kind of like
the thing. And
yeah, it was beautiful, it was nice, just by seeing it, you just get pumped, So then it had a really kind of retro / classy vibe to it, And this place was,
huge.
Not that big, but it felt huge, because it was dark, but it was mixed with neon lights. And it felt comfy. It was a classy joint, so there were...
Was there a lot of people?
There was quite a bit of people, quite a bit of people. There were, and they were having a good time. They were dancing. It wasn't too rowdy, so that's what I liked about it. It was a little relaxed. So I was like, you know what? Let me go grab me a drink. So I remember I walked up to the bar and, when I ordered my drink, I turned to my right and I see this redhead, right? She kind of stood out, like there was something about her. I don't know what it was, but I was like, dang, she was gorgeous. Hair was very red. She had that kind of pale fluorescent skin, and it just glowed with the lights, the ambiance just bounced off of her. And, I was feeling myself, so I went up to her and struck up a conversation, and I was like, what are you having? I'll buy you a drink. She's like, well, thank you, And then we started talking. And the more we drank, the more we started flirting and
having a connection.
Yeah, we started, really connecting. There was a lot of chemistry. You know, it was like about, I would say about 1:15, 1:30 in the morning. And, you know, she pops the big question. She's like, you want to go over to my place? And I was like, well, yeah, absolutely. You know, let's go. So I was like, before I go, let me run to the restroom real quick and I'll be right out. So when I go, I, you know, come back, there was a shot waiting for me. She's like, before we go, let's take a quick shot. Yeah, one last shot, you know, for the road, as I say. And then I was like already tipsy. I was tipsy as hell. And, you know, I wasn't using my better judgment, if you will. So I was like, you know, typically I would think, you know,
That's too much.
it's a little, you know, iffy, but I was like, you know, why not? It's a good night. Everything's going perfect. So I took the shot. And then, you know, I never forget when she offered for me to go in her car. I was thinking, I just had a off feeling about it. But you know, I didn't care about that. I just go in the car, and then she starts driving. And all of a sudden, I just remembered I started feeling kind of sick. Not it's sick, but also I was starting to slur a lot more. Now, when I used, you know,
Different feeling from being drunk.
well, the thing is, at that time, when I would drink, I could hold my liquor. But for some reason, I remember after I took that last shot, I just, you know, I don't know, like it was weird. Things started slowing down for me. And then I started noticing that I started moving like a lot slower. My speech started sounding like it started sounding like I wasn't even talking. It was like a different voice talking, you know, like, and then that's where I really started thinking, like, what the hell's going on? Like, I know I drank, but not that much, you know? And then all of a sudden, that I started thinking about that last shot. And the more I try to fight it and start panicking, and the more I try to wave my arms, I remember like it just wasn't doing anything. So I started kind of panicking. I tried to open the car, and she started laughing at me. You know, the sleep paralysis moments. It was like that, where you're awake and you're, you know,
But you can't do anything.
you can't move. You know, you're just. And then she started like she. I remember like she put her hand over my face as she was driving, and then she dragged her hand down my face, and she's like, "Shh, it'll all be over soon. It'll all be over soon." I remember that. And then finally, that's when I just passed out. I blacked out. I woke up. I was naked. And I was in a bathtub full of ice. And it's like I was numb, but full of pain, right? And then I didn't feel cold because there was ice and, you know, water. And as I got up, the water looked kind of pinkish, you know? And you could smell like, copper in the air. It was like a heavy smell. And I look up and I see there's a scar starting from up here with like, I don't know, some thread or something. I realized as I started moving up, it looked like I was cut up and botched up from like the middle of my chest all the way down, and I couldn't see it because, you know, there was all this ice, and it was the most excruciating pain I have ever even felt in my life, and I've never even imagined I could be in that much pain. Never. What they did at that moment, but I knew they cut me up and they got something because I felt like, you know, I was cut up and something was missing. You know, I don't know. It was just weird. You know, you put two and two together, and you're in a situation, you wake up in a bathtub full of ice, and you're like, you know, what did they take? You know,
You start like fighting
so
to get out.
I tried, but I was in so much pain. It's almost like I was paralyzed by the pain, just a realization all at once, you know, because think about it, I was tipsy and drunk before, and now I'm, sobered up, big, like I'm awake, alive, and then just full of excruciating pain. I'm bleeding from this whatever it was. It was like it's like they got like just a rusty knife and just like cut through me. So I didn't know what to do. And I was just stuck there thinking about this is it. This is how I'm going to die. I'm going to die and God knows where. And I felt like I was about to pass out. And as I was about to pass out, I saw the door open, like blast open, like a sunlight or just big light just hit me right in the face. And then that's it. That's where I passed out. And I thought that was it. I thought I was gone. When I woke up again, I woke up in a hospital. My body was really sore, and I was still in a lot of pain. I remember I was like, what happened to me? Why am I here? What happened was I was at this hotel, okay? And at this hotel, apparently somebody saw me crawl out, and I was passed out on the
hallway.
in the hallway, and then they called 911, and that's where they came to get me. But the doctor explained to me that, do you remember anything that happened last night? I was like, no, what happened? I do remember, but like, what happened to me? And he said, I don't know how to say this, but your right kidney has been removed. Now, the way it was done, if you wouldn't have been found when you did, you would have been dead. You know, I think about it every day. You know, after that happened, as I was in that hospital, I started really thinking back, like all the red flags that I missed.
Did they get caught? Nothing? No more clues?
Unfortunately, nothing came of it. I told the cops everything. You know, I told everything, the details, the Velvet Lounge, and the bartender. None of them had ever seen that lady before, ever. She paid in cash, you know.
No record of her.
And not even in the cameras didn't pick up on a license plate because they had the new car license plate. And it turned out that car was actually stolen. Thankfully, there's no long-term effects after losing a kidney. Now, if you get sick or a disease or whichever, I mean, you only got one kidney, you know, so, things can get more complicated. But other than that, thankfully, it's not something that I have to have treatment constantly. But I will say that this experience, whoever did this to me, took my peace of mind. After all this happened, what I ended up doing was I was institutionalized for a little bit because after all this happened, I felt that the best thing to do was to go somewhere to where I was able to get around the clock help. Till this day, I will say that this is something that I'm battling with every day.
I think you told that you were gonna show us the scar as well.
Yeah. Cut from down here all the way down to my belly button. This part is still hard as a rock. And if you can see, around my waist. And this is something that I have to live with for the rest of my life.
Thank you so much, Ramon. Thank you for joining us today and for sharing this experience that you lived. Guys, this was the end of our episode. Please don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Every Sunday, we're going to have a new episode. I'm Cassie Moon, and this was Something Scary to Talk About.